Welcome to Hall Pass Sessions. This is your all-access Hall Pass to what the legends of the game are talking about. Legends from the Hall of Fame, the PBA, the PWBA, and the best that youth bowling has to offer. Hall Pass Sessions, complete with positive thoughts and a tip or two to help. And of course, legends to host. Now, here's Hall of Famers Carolyn Doran-Ballard and Leanne Barrett-Hulsenberg. This is Hall Pass Sessions.
Hello, everybody. Good Tuesday. It's been a nice week. When we had the week off last week, we're rolling right into this week, and we have a lot to discuss. Our guest tonight could be one of the most famous people that he doesn't know he's famous in bowling, and one of the nicest and greatest guys in the sport of bowling. But before we bring him in, let me bring on my counterpart in crime. Get in here there, Leanne. Hello, friend.
How you doing?
Good. How's your week going so far?
Well, you know, I'm in Myrtle Beach. And it's
oh, darn.
No, it is really nice here. 80 degrees, sunshine. Yesterday I got here and today, and getting ready for the SYC this weekend. Took a little early trip and had I just got done having dinner with the owners of Planet Fun. We're planning our 10th celebration next year. So we had a nice dinner, and it'll be our 10th year at the SYC in Myrtle Beach. So kind of a big deal next year.
Awesome. Well, that is a wonderful place to be. It's nice to wake up every day and just go walk on the beach and clear your head and everything else. But I wish you a great week, Leanne. I'm going to be thinking about you. It'll be great weather, and you should enjoy it. You deserve it.
Yeah, you've been here before, so you know how it is.
That's true. That's true. So our guest tonight is, again, I state, one of the nicest people I know. He's the 2023 Rookie of the Year on the PBA50 Tour, the 2024 and 25 Player of the Year on the PBA50 Tour. He's also a 2018 USBC Hall of Famer, and he deserves that. He's been on Team USA 10 times. So let's welcome in John Janawicz.
Hi, how are you?
John.
His friends call him
just fantastic.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the show.
You are correct. You are very welcome. And I'm speaking to John, who was a PBA Rookie of the Year on the 50. Leanne was a PWBA Rookie on the PWBA Tour, both Players of the Year. Boy, I'm in a star-studded field tonight. All USBC Hall of Famers.
We're trying to keep up.
Awesome, isn't it? I'm telling you, awesome. Jay, thank you so much for joining us. I know you're on borrowed time here as you have a meeting that you need to do. I kind of want to jump right in. Okay. I want to talk about your greatness. I want to talk about your greatness first.
What? Yeah.
You led the PBA50 in earnings and points. But what I find more amazing than that, not that I don't find that amazing, I'm just saying, I'm looking at the list. You are ahead of bowlers such as Brad Angelo, Tom Doherty, Tom Hess, Chris Burns, Mika Koivaniemi, Parker Bone III, Tom Adcock, Pete Weber, Amuleto Monticelli. Do you know how many titles I just named there?
A few.
I mean,
yeah.
You should take such pride in what you have done against such a stellar field and to accomplish so much in your first 2 years. My first question to you is, what are the keys to your success besides just being a great bowler? What do you feel are your keys? Number two, what is in store for you next year?
As far as keys go, I mean, I try my best to stay healthy, and I stay in the gym. Like, when I'm at home, I'm at the gym 4 to 5 days a week, usually about an hour a day. Try my best, to work on, especially in recent years, as I'm getting older. Flexibility is a big thing. Stretching is very, very important. Because I've always felt that, if you're not 100% healthy, trying to bowl against Brad and Tom and Barnes and Parker, I mean, you're giving away a lot of pins. So, health is probably the main thing. And, as far as, other keys to success, I'm not really sure, honestly. I mean, I'm not really sure if I do any one thing great. I like to think I'm pretty good at a pretty good amount of different things, I mean, yeah, I think that was, the late Pete Couture told me that, to be successful on tour, you either got to be great at one thing or you've got to be really, really good at everything. And I probably fall more in that latter category, So, yeah, I guess maybe, a little combination of knowledge, lane play, probably, I like to think I probably, equipment wise, have a pretty good hold on what I kind of need to do, and kind of have an idea of what balls work pretty good in what zones of the lane, and so that way, you're not stuck in 170 to 190 purgatory, for very long out there. But I think that's probably more it. I guess if I had to, just probably being a little bit of a, somewhat more versatile player. And, I feel very comfortable playing, near the gutter. I feel very comfortable standing in front of the ball return and, throwing it hard, throwing it slow, hooking it, throwing it straight, So I guess probably that might be, one of my better traits, I guess. So.
Okay. It's funny when you made the comment and you said, what Pete had told you about being great at one thing or being really good at a lot of different things. He was shaking his head yes over here. So he lives by that. Leanne, do you have a follow-up to that?
Yeah. How do you redo your goals for next year when you pretty much have accomplished everything on what's your game plan? I know you have a while till it starts next year, but
yeah, I have
yourself?
people ask me that, what do you do next year? And honestly, I have the same kind of preparation year after year. And as simple as it sounds, I mean, one, stay healthy, two, keep learning. And I know if I keep doing those two, I'll be happy and accept with whatever the outcome is, whether it's another player of the year, whether it's one title, whether it's whatever it may be. But, I'm always just trying to get better, the big thing out there to me is, who sees it fastest, who gets lined up fastest. Then, when transition happens, who gets, lined up again the fastest more than anything else, and I'm trying to do everything I can, to get better with equipment, see if I can try to find, better bowling balls that work in certain zones of the lane, maybe try to sharpen up some skills that will allow me to, repeat better also, because, the one thing, especially on this tour is, we're all kind of fighting father time, so, I think, the health standpoint to me is really, really important. And that's one of the things which I felt like kind of hurt me a little bit is I felt like I was getting a little tired on a couple of especially when you started getting into like day 3 on a couple of these events. And I felt like my execution started to get a little bad. So probably the big thing I'm going to be working on a lot is physical fitness in the off season. I've already started on that, trying to get stronger, and also trying to, increase flexibility. So that way for injury prevention more than anything else.
Smart.
Yeah, I don't recall you ever, I mean, from what I can remember, I don't ever remember you being injured. Have you ever really been injured throughout your bowling? With all the years in USBCs and Team USA, you've never really battled an injury, right? You've been in
Back
pretty darn
back
good shape.
problems. Yeah, back problems is a big thing.
Oh,
That's been the big problem
okay.
I've had.
Okay.
And yeah, I had an bulging disc in L5 when I was 23 years old. And, at that time, it was pretty painful. And the doctor basically said, you can either have surgery or you can get in the gym, strengthen your core, and hopefully you won't have any problems. And, 23 years old, I wasn't ready for surgery. And especially in 1995, surgery I don't think was quite the way it is now, and I had friends that had back surgery. They were never 100% after that. They walked crooked, and I was like, I'm not sure I want to go that route. So I basically I was lazy for a few years. You kind of do enough just to kind of get yourself healthy, and then you go back to what you were doing, and then 6 months later, then you hurt yourself, and then you're back on the shelf for 4 more days on your back. And I was like, after about 5 years, I got tired of it, and I'm like, I just need to get better, and this needs to be part of my life. And since then, as long as I'm in the gym constant, it usually doesn't give me a lot of problem. But I actually had a little bit of hip problems the last year and a half. Just kind of lack of mobility. It doesn't really hurt as much when I bowl, but I actually had an MRI literally just this summer, and to try to make sure there wasn't any damage. And fortunately, there was no damage, but apparently there's some fluid in my hip. So I'm actually taking physical therapy now. I've been doing it for the last 3 weeks. I've got another session this week, and then 2 more next week, right before I leave for the Senior World Championships in Reno on Wednesday. So it's helped a little bit. And if anything, what I'm trying to learn is, can I get some exercises or anything to help either, if not gain a little bit more flexibility, but if not, can I strengthen the areas around the hips so where it doesn't get any worse? And I've learned some exercises that have helped, and hopefully, if anything, I can prevent it from getting worse over the next few years.
And I was going to say, Leanne, do you feel the same way? I know you had a little bit of a hip problem for a little while. Did you feel the same way though about, I don't want surgery, but there are things I can do to prevent it from getting worse and hopefully help it? And do you feel by doing your walking and your stretching and taking care of that, it helped you get back to the lanes?
Yeah, I think anytime surgery is mentioned, I went to 3 doctors for my hip, and one of them said you need a hip replacement, and the next one said you just need physical therapy, and the next one said, something totally different. So it's kind of scary when you don't get 3 of the same answer. So I never had hip surgery, and even now when people seem to be back on the lanes in a week after having, they get you out of there pretty quick. But I think anytime you're having a major surgery is, you definitely want to think about it. Probably nothing that you wanted to do at 23, right? So, yeah, I agree.
Try to put that off as long as possible.
Right, right.
Absolutely, especially with all the technology. And you are right, they get you in and out, but it's still not fun by any means. Besides yourself, JJ, before I get to the next question, because I know we got to get you out of here, who do you feel out there is the quickest to move around on the lane? And is there that one player that you feel is the guy that you watch? Oh gosh, yep, I got to move here. Or, oh, he's moving over here. I need to, take note of that. Is there one that you feel, I mean, there's so much talent, by the way, so much talent, but is there some feel the one you look at and go, yeah, let me change something up?
Chris Barnes is probably the one I probably watch the most, probably because both of our ball rolls read the front probably a little more than we'd both like. So we tend to have kind of some similar problems. And, so I probably watch him probably a little more so than some of the others, because, like a couple of other guys like Brad, and Tom Hess, their ball rolls are quite different, and they float it through the front so much better than I do that, sometimes, they can do things that I definitely can't. So sometimes I'll tend to lean more probably toward Chris, probably more than anybody, to when it comes to watching. But I pay really close attention though to pretty much most everybody that's kind of around me because I've always been a firm believer that you can what they say a wise man learns from his mistakes, but a wiser man learns from the mistakes of others. And you can kind of watch, around you, ooh, 160, huh? Yeah, he's playing 10 right of me. Yeah, I don't think I'm going there, or like, okay, this guy's a 5 left of me, he's shooting 250. Well, all right, if he can shoot 250, I'm probably good for at least 221. So I'm like, all right, maybe I'll move in there since I'm shooting a 190. So, I always like to pay close attention to, what different people are doing, especially if I'm not bowling good or at least not keeping up with par more than anything.
Right. Awesome.
Smart. Very smart.
Yeah, totally. Well, are we allowed to ask you one more question that's not, well, it's bowling related, but it is about the current mumbo jumbo in bowling, as always.
Sure. Yeah.
There's been this, yes, urethane, no urethane. We don't like urethane. We love urethane. There's all of these things going on. And in reading, what USBC had put out, I'm just picking, just your thought, and you don't even have to give it as a person that works at Kegel. I'm really, honestly, I kind of want your thought as a bowler. I really do.
Yeah.
Do you feel it disrupts the lane pattern more quickly? And do you think it does hinder different bowling styles when people are using urethane? What is your take on that?
Let me put the lane man hat on right now. But
Okay.
From that aspect, do I think urethane is good or bad, in those regards? Honestly,
Excuse me.
urethane has helped in some ways because of the fact that the biggest problem we had, especially like prior to 2014, was on the right side, the ball return got in the way. And, with many more urethane balls going down the lane, right-handers can't just instantly move left and just keep shooting it to the dry. And, now it's a chase left of the ball return. So from a lane maintenance standpoint, it's kind of made lanes hold up a little bit better in that aspect. Obviously it does create a different kind of environment, but obviously it plows more oil down the lane. But then again, if guys are throwing a gem out of the box, or has 500 on it, well, that's changing the lane a lot too. Just a different kind of change. So I think more of it, we're kind of arguing about, is this change good or is that change good, or is that bad or is that bad? Myself, I think if you get rid of urethane, now the ball return becomes a problem again, because that's, so I think, in my opinion, all you're doing is you're trading off one thing for another. And, is one better than the other? I don't know. I guess it depends on whether you're good at throwing urethane or whether you're better in front of the ball return. I guess that's going to skew your opinion a little bit more than others. As far as a bowler standpoint, just tell me what's legal, and I'll throw that and I'll make it work. Honestly, I honestly don't really care. I'll figure it out, and if I can't figure it out, well, then guess what? I probably deserve to not bowl very well. That's just my opinion on that. May not be the popular one, but if you're a professional bowler, you need to figure out what you need to do to win. Whether it's throwing urethane, whether it's throwing 1-inch pin, big slow balls, whether it's using more ball speed, with less axis rotation, whatever it may be. As a professional, it's your job to figure it out. And just tell me what I'm allowed to throw and what I'm not, and I'll figure it out.
Good. I love it. That's a great answer. Leanne, anything else with that before we let our JJ go?
No, I love that answer, and you're so humble, JJ, and so knowledgeable and everything. My question about urethane, I kind of think the buzz has died down a little bit. And then I talked to proprietors tonight, and they said, "Oh no, our league bowlers are still talking about it." And so I guess people are still talking about it. But what do you feel like the urethane rule, the new rules, or the change of urethane affects a certain type of bowler more than like the bulk of bowling? Or I mean, like how do you think it's going to affect bowling in general?
Honestly, I'm not sure how much it's. I'm actually not too sure, but I had heard some people say that without urethane, two-handers are going to have a hard time, because that's what they use on the fresh. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not a real history major, but like before, the urethanes really started getting popular. I think the pitch black came out in 14, if I remember right, and then then they started getting, then there more and more urethane started to come out. But I mean, last I remember, I think Belmo was player of the year in 12 and 13. And he did pretty well without it. And if it gets to the point where you remove urethane and now we start getting in front of the ball return, I don't see Simo and EJ and Belmo having a harder time. So I mean, I don't know. I'm not so sure about that, honestly. But has urethane helped a lot of people? Absolutely. I mean, I can definitely name a few people that kind of resurrected their careers, but I also remember in 1991 when I started seeing the Excalibur come out, I'm watching, what you needed to do, and I'm watching, how much that ball hooked down the lane in guys that had a lot of hand. And there were some people that couldn't throw it hard enough, or they had a hard time taking their hand out of it, and they struggled. But the great players always seem to figure it out, and that's one thing I've kind of learned. Sometimes it takes a while, but the great players always figure it out. And whether urethane goes away, and how that's going to be affected in some tournaments, because there are some tournaments where they're not going to be able to use it. Other tournaments they will. Others it's the 78 hardness balls. Others it's everything. I think we kind of got a lot of different science experiments going on here at the same time, and I guess we're going to kind of find out in the next year or so. What looks good and what doesn't. But I think regardless, I still think your good players are still going to be the good players, and will they maybe fall off a little? Maybe, but I don't expect them to fall off for very long based on history.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I agree. What a great way to put it all together. I agree. Great players, people that work at it will figure it out and get to the top. And that's the way bowling or sports works. That's just the way the sports works in general. Right. But JJ, we thank you so much for joining us. I know you need to get off to your phone call, and it's always good to see you. You're just such a great ambassador, a great human being, and I know we both wish you all the success in the world.
Oh, thank you so much. And like I said, thanks for having me. And like I said, let me know if you ever need me to sit on again. I'd be more than happy to stay a little longer and chat a little bit more. But thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
We'll take you up on that.
Absolutely. Take care, JJ. We will take you up on it. Take care and bowl great next week.
Thank you. Looking forward to it. That should be fun. So.
Yep.
He's going to add. I predict he's going to add a few more gold medals to his gold medal hanger.
He could be the Masters winner. He could be the Masters. He could win it all. I mean, what a great human being, great team player. I so love that he said, it's a change. You need to you adapt, you don't. The great players figure it out. I mean, Leanne, you came from urethane to, reactive, whatever. You were great in every era. I
hated short oil. I bowled terrible in short oil.
I do. Well, that's all right. I'll give you that one. But Now me personally, when I bowl a tournament, I don't really mind when I follow somebody who's been using urethane, because you know what it creates for me? Hold. I can probably get rid of them and use their carry down as my hold. But again, I never really put much thought into I'm shut out and I don't like it because somebody's using a certain ball or a certain part of the lane or sanding their ball too much or whatever it be. I think I'm sure you lived by the same thing. Hey, this is what you're bowling on. You have 24 games to figure it out, right?
Yep.
And there you are. I mean, I don't know, Leanne, what do you think? What is going to be the next change in bowling?
Well, I didn't really think about
Any
that
idea?
ball return issue that, should be interesting because they're just going to go back to sanding bowling balls, right? So if they take urethane out of play to get that
Correct.
reaction that they need, the smoother, reaction is why they throw urethane, then sanding a ball and putting a lot of surface on it will smooth out any ball. So, which chops up the heads of the
Correct.
lane. So it's a good point. Just changes them in a different way.
It's such a two. It just changes them in a different way. And honestly, at this point, there's plenty that feels this is an issue that we have trying to, figure out something is always progressing, right? Equipment is changing, lane conditions are changing, oils are changing, whatever it be. So I don't know if the haters out there or people who are totally against it realize that this isn't going to be the only issue that we have in bowling. So we're going to have to learn to maybe adapt to some of the changes that, may just be part of our game. And I like the comments we're getting. Somebody in my league was using urethane. It messed me up, but by game 3, I figured it out, I mean, that's really kind of where we're at, right?
Good for them for figuring it out. Yeah.
Good for him is right. And I don't know. What do you think? Do you think we might be taking off the ball return covers and making the ball returns even more narrow, or go back to the one? Remember the one? Did you ever bowl where there's a line and then there was a circle?
Yep.
And you could actually make one underneath. You know how like they have the racks where you could put the extra balls?
Mm-hmm.
It does make it a little smaller.
Yeah. Could happen.
Yeah.
You talk to our friends at Brunswick Parts or at Brunswick and Cubica, the ball return and equipment, and maybe they can create something.
That would be funny. Or isn't the new thing making it in a 3D print? I'm being silly now. I know. I'm sorry. Okay. Well, I love it. JJ, everybody make sure to do a couple things this weekend. SYC. Check it out on Storm Youth Bowling there on your social media channel. Right, Leanne?
Yep. We're going to be live streaming from Planet Fun in Charlotte, North Carolina, and we'll have some good champions crowned on Sunday.
Yep. And then we are going to have the Senior World Championships is out in, I believe, Reno, correct? Starting next week, JJ mentions. You can check that out.
Yeah, we got some great teams.
You can check that out on bowl.com.
We're going to win lots
of great team going out.
USA. Yep.
And we won't be on next week, but the following week, we will have a wrap up from SYC World Championships. All out and about right now. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Michael Machuca's team just won a tournament up in the New York area, and my mind went totally blank. The name of his team.
Mercyhurst.
I owe him a shout out. No, I owe him. Is it Mercyhurst? I think it is. They just won a tournament. Yeah. Oklahoma Christian men just won a conference tournament here. So we have a lot of bowling going on. And it'll be great in 2 weeks to have a nice college wrap up as to what's happening in what part of the country.
That'd be
What do you
great.
think?
College bowling is kicking off their October. It's the big month for college bowling, and there's
Yes.
a lot of great
Yes.
teams, not just on the women's side, but on the men's side. I look forward to watching,
Yes.
see who's going to be the top of the rankings.
I agree. We'll get a 10-pin coaches association ranking maybe after a couple of weeks. But good to see you, my friend. Enjoy that warm, beachy weather, and enjoy a glass of wine sitting out there on the balcony. Because if you're doing what we were doing a couple of years ago, you're going right on out there to listen to the waves crashing into the beach. I love it. Awesome. We'll have a great weekend. And join us here. Remember, we're on a schedule of every 2 weeks, so we won't be on next week. We're on 2 and 2.
Chuck Woolery, 2 and 2.
All right. You bet. See you soon.
See you guys.